everyone, I hope you're all well. So I've got another cooking video for you today, and today I'm going to be making homemade burgers with a spring onion and cheese kind of like sauce topping. So yeah, I'll just show you the ingredients I'm going to be using and the utensils, and then we should be able to get started. So first off, as expected, you're going to need some minced beef. I've got quite a big packet here, it's 900 grams. You might not want this amount, you can have less amounts, but with this kind of amount of minced beef, I tend to be able to make 8 like reasonably sized burgers for 4 people, so we have like 2 each. You're also going to need 2 eggs. Last time I made homemade burgers, I had about half of this amount, and I just used 1 egg to bind it together, and it was absolutely fine. So just as, you know, approximate amounts, because I've got 900 grams this time, I'm going to use the 2 eggs. Next we're going to need onion. Now this is mainly for the topping, you know, like fried onions on top of your burgers, but I'm also going to use a little bit of that white onion to add into the sauce as well. I've only got half here. I'd normally use, you know, 1 whole one, so that's why I've kind of like got a little red onion as well, because that's what we've got in the fridge, so that's what I'm going to be using. Also, as you know, topping on burgers, people tend to like cheese, so you might want to grab yourself some of these, but I tend to use like a mature cheddar cheese and just grate it on, but yeah, mixture of the two is always nice. You're going to need some oil, vegetable oil, and then for the sauce I've got spring onions. We've got 4 here because that's how many we had left in the fridge, so I'm going to be using 4. You're going to need some garlic. I've got a tub of garlic here, so I'm just going to be using that, but if you're using cloves then I'd recommend using like 1 clove, I think. 1 or 2 should be fine. Some cheese as well to add into the sauce. I've got mature cheddar here, but you know, you might not like mature, you might want mild, but it's going to obviously be a lot more tasty and have a lot more of a stronger flavour when you get mature cheddar in there. I've also got some cheese spread, which is like creamy cheese. Obviously you know what cheese spread is, and that's basically going to act as kind of, you know, the creaminess of the sauce, so that it's not all thick and there is some kind of I don't know how to describe it, but kind of like something like gooey, as if I was adding like water or yogurt. It's going to help it to bind together as a sauce, and I think the garlic will do that as well, because that's obviously already chopped up in there. You're going to need a little bit of salt as well, and I think that's it in terms of ingredients. In terms of utensils, I'm going to be using this griddle pan to make the burgers, but a frying pan should be fine as well. A little saucepan to kind of fry the onions off for the top, a blender, that's what I'm going to be blending and making the sauce in, and then other than that I think you're just going to need like a wooden spoon for your onions. To flip the burgers I'd probably recommend something like this. Obviously, because it's metal, I don't want to use metal utensil because it'll just scrape it off. So I'm going to use a plastic one of these for the burgers. And I think that's it. I might, you know, need the odd knife and fork and that, but you'll see what I'm using as I go along, and you'll know for yourself anyway. But those are the basic utensils and then your ingredients. I forgot to say you're also going to need a mixing bowl. Obviously to bind together the mince with the eggs. So that's what I've just done basically, because when you first put the mince into this, it's like a big block, so it's best to just separate it a little bit with your fingers to start with, then add in your 2 eggs, and then basically just mix it all together with your hands, which is what I've just done. So now it's all mixed together and it's a lot more consistent in terms of, you know, sticking together and being able to create those burgers. So I'm just going to mould them all together now. So here we've got the burgers are all moulded and ready to go. If you just kind of grab a handful and then roll it into a ball to start with, and then kind of just pat it out and flatten it out like I've done here. So I've got 8. I absolutely love homemade burgers. I mean, it's so simple to just pop to the supermarket and grab, you know, a box of burgers, but you know, most of them don't exactly taste fantastic. I mean, don't get me wrong, if I buy burgers, then I buy the 100% ones. Otherwise, if anyone else in the household buys any other type of burgers, then I can't really eat them, just because I don't really like the taste of them. They've got so much rubbish in them, and you know, gristle and fat, and they're not really very nice. So, you know, anytime I can, I'll make burgers like this, and everyone in the house really enjoys them because they just taste so fresh. They know exactly what's in the burger, and it's just so much better. So I definitely recommend making them this way if you can. Right, so now I'm going to start throwing off the burgers. Now, like I said, this is the griddle pan that I'm going to be using, and I'll probably be able to fit 4 in there, like, comfortably. So I'm going to leave 4 of these in the fridge. I'm going to be cooking them all today, but I'm going to just leave 4 in the fridge for the meantime while I cook the other 4, because they can take, you know, 10, 15, even maybe 20 minutes. So if I keep the rest in the fridge, then they should be fine. Right, so I've added a little bit of vegetable oil into my griddle pan. Just a little bit, because obviously the meat's got its own fats as well to cook in, but just add a little bit then. That's fine. Now, I think in my last cooking video I kind of showed you how our cooker works. So this little flame here is like minimum, and then that is like maximum. So for this, I'm going to go like a quarter of the way, and then just a tad more. So as if you were on a clock doing like 22. So that should be, I'll just show you the heat, that should be fine to start off with. So I'm just going to start putting them in, and you'll hear them sizzling away straight away. So as you can see, 4 fit in there just comfortably. Right, so the basic cooking times are 5 minutes on one side, then flip them over for another 5 minutes, and then by that time they should be like brown on both sides, but obviously you've still got the middle to be worrying about. So I tend to then flip them over again, say for another 2-3 minutes, and then flip them back over for another 2-3 minutes. So in total, I cook them for about 15-16 minutes. Right. So I've trimmed off the ends of the spring onion, both ends, and put those into the blender. I've just chopped them into little pieces, as you can see. I put in a tablespoon, sorry I have to think about that then. I put in a tablespoon of the garlic and 2 tablespoons of the cheese spread. I put in half a teaspoon of salt. And then I've just grated a little bit of the cheese into the top, as you can see. So this is what it looks like. It's quite thick. Let me get a spoon and I can show you the kind of consistency. So it is quite thick. So if you kind of wanted to add a little bit of mayonnaise maybe to make it, you know, more saucy, but because obviously I know what we're like in this household, I know that we're absolutely going to love that on top of the burger. I've just had a little taste, and the garlic, the cheese and the spring onion all come through amazingly, and you saw what ingredients I used, so it tastes absolutely amazing. But I am going to add, I've cut, if you can just see, that's the half of the white onion that I showed you at the beginning, and I've just cut that tiny bit off, just to add into the sauce as well, just to add like a little bit of a zing. So I'm just going to do that now. Right, so I've just added the onions, and that has added a little bit of an extra zing, so that's going to be gorgeous on top of these burgers. I've just flipped the burgers because it's been 5 minutes, and I've also turned it down to a quarter. It was like that before, but I've turned it to the quarter because it was bubbling away quite quickly, and I don't want to kind of cook them too fast that they burn, otherwise I've had it. So yeah, I've turned it down a bit. So now I have to wait 5 minutes for the other side to cook. Right, so the burgers are still cooking. There's probably about a couple of minutes left on that side. So now I have cut up all the white onion that I had left, and then that little red onion that I showed you at the beginning. And I've put a little bit of vegetable oil in the bottom of there, and then I've put it on a low heat, so just past the minimum flames there, because we don't want these cooking too fast, which they will if you put them on too high of a heat. You basically want them to be soft, but it's to do with preference, but I like them a little bit crispy as well. So yeah, I'm just going to leave those until they start getting soft, and they'll like reduce in size as well. So yeah, I'll show you those when I think that they're nearly done. So the burgers are very nearly done, but I just wanted to show you the onions. As you can see, you can kind of, you know, tell how soft they are. So that's kind of like how you want to get them, and I've just kept them on the same heat all the way through. But now, because I want to add a little bit of crisp, I'm just going to turn it to the quarter to, just to basically get a little bit of a crisp on them. So yeah. Right, so I've just cooked through all of the burgers, so I apologise for the splits in them, but you won't notice that once the toppings are on. So they are very nearly done. I only had to cook them for 5 minutes on each side, so I think the last time I cooked them I must have had them on a lower heat. So 5 minutes on each side, and then I'd say when you're coming to, you know, nearly 5 minutes on the second side, if you just push into the middle, you know, make sure that it's all nice and brown. If it's, you know, still pink and you know that you need to be cooking it for a little bit longer. But mine are all, you know, nice and brown inside, so I know that they're basically done. But what I'm going to do is just add on the cheese, just so that it melts a little bit with the warmth of the griddle pan. So yeah, what I'd recommend is, you know, just for the 5 minutes, cut into them, check if they're done. If they're not, then I'd leave them for a bit longer before you add the cheese. If they're nearly done, then I'd add the cheese just so it melts a little bit. So I'm going to start off with the plastic cheese, as I like to call it, and I'm just going to put it over each one. Like that. Leave it for, I'd say, literally 30 seconds to a minute. But in the meantime, by the way, they're my potatoes bubbling away, so excuse those. But in the meantime, I've emptied the sauce into a bowl. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to microwave it for literally 30 seconds to a minute. Well, I'd say a minute. So the sauce is now warmed up after a minute, and to be honest, it's an absolutely great consistency considering I didn't really use anything, you know, too liquidy. These are the onions, so as you can see I have the crispy edges that I wanted. They're now done. Cheese is melting away lovely on there, so now I'm going to add some grated cheese on. So just a little handful, and if you just pop it right in the middle and kind of press it down a bit. And do that for all 4. But I'm just going to leave that for a few seconds, maybe 30 seconds, just to melt a little bit more. So I'm going to show you how to take 2 up. So, put the burger onto the plate to start with. Make sure I don't drop it on the way over. Okay. Right, so to start with, I'm going to add my onion. So grab a bit of onion. and just place it on the top. It'll probably just fall over, but you can eat it all together anyway. There we go. And then I'm going to add some of the sauce. Right, so just add it onto the top. Like that. Trust me, this is going to be delicious. And then I'm going to add a little bit more cheese just onto the top. Those are the burgers. And trust me, if you make these, you're not going to regret it because they taste absolutely delicious. You might even never want to buy frozen packaged burgers again. So yeah, I really hope you've enjoyed this recipe, and do let me know if you try it yourself or if you have any other kind of like sauce toppings for burgers of your own or anything like that. Let me know, leave it as comments, leave it as a video response, but yeah, if you do try this out at home, then do let me know because I'd love to hear how you got on. But thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!